Cat Podcast: Why Humans Obsess Over Wet Clothes and Damp Labyrinths. Now, I'm about to tell you something that will change how you understand your human's behavior for the rest of your life, and I need you to stay completely focused because this secret has been hiding in plain sight. By the end of this episode, you'll finally understand why your human creates this catastrophic moisture maze every single week, and spoiler alert, it has nothing to do with cleaning. If you own a cat, you've seen this. You've lived through this. Subscribe right now because we're going to break down the unsettling logic of human laundry obsession. And I'd love to hear in the comments about your most chaotic laundry moment, when the drying racks took over your entire living space. Tell me your story down below. Hold on. I need your absolute full attention for something critical here. Before we get into the real mechanics of this behavior, you should know that our complete guide to decoding human household dysfunction, the full ebook with all the patterns, signals, and documented triggers behind laundry rituals, is available in the description and in the pinned comment below. This isn't the surface level stuff you'll hear today. This guide goes into the actual neurological and psychological mechanisms that drive this compulsive wet clothing situation. Check it out if you want the depth. So here's what I've observed living with humans for the last several years. They take off their clothing. This happens daily. Fair enough. Humans are mammals. They shed their outer skin coverings. Completely normal mammalian behavior. Most animals handle this simply. You wear something, it gets dirty. You wear something else. Cycle repeats. Dogs don't complain. Deer move on. But humans? Humans invented a separate problem. They developed what I can only describe as a ceremonial cleansing process. The garments go into a specific container, a basket, a hamper. Some humans call it a laundry bag. Mine uses 3 different baskets depending on the color of the fabric. 3 baskets, for things that are going to get wet anyway. Then, and this is where it gets genuinely baffling, they transport these items to a separate room, the laundry room, or the basement, or sometimes, inexplicably, a closet. Let me tell you what this machine actually does. It fills with water. Not just any water, chemical water, water with additives that smell like nothing in nature, powders, liquids, scents derived from plants that no cat would ever encounter in the wild. Then the machine spins. It makes a sound that can only be described as a low-level alarm. Your human walks away and leaves you alone with this noise for 45 minutes. 45 minutes of your life where this appliance is essentially screaming. And the thing that truly puzzles me, the part I still don't fully grasp after years of documentation, is that your human seems to find this calming. They load the machine and they leave. They don't sit with it, they don't monitor it, they act as though putting wet, dirty cloth into a giant spinning metal chamber is a completed task. It isn't. It's barely the beginning. The extraction process begins. Your human pulls these soaking, impossibly heavy items from the machine, and here is where the obsession transforms into architectural ambition. They don't hang them in one space. They construct a system, a drying labyrinth, across chairs, over shower rods, around radiators. Hanging from makeshift lines strung between furniture, your entire living environment becomes a textile installation. Rooms that were previously inhabitable become navigational challenges. You walk in, you're immediately confined by hanging garments, sleeves brush your head. You have to navigate around pant legs. The air becomes thick, heavy with humidity. The smell, the chemical smell from the washing process, combined with the must of damp fabric, fills every corner of the house. It infiltrates the bedroom, it reaches the kitchen, it contaminates your food bowls. And your human just accepts this. They walk through these cloth corridors multiple times a day. They don't seem to mind that their home has been temporarily transformed into a textile warehouse. They don't acknowledge the obvious inefficiency of hanging dozens of items individually when dryers exist. Yes, dryers. Machines specifically designed for this exact purpose. Machines that would complete this task in 40 minutes. But no, your human prefers the labyrinth method. This is where most observers stop asking questions. They see the laundry. They see it's wet. They think the situation is chaotic but understandable. But I've spent time with this behavior. I've watched it unfold dozens of times, and I can tell you that the chaos itself might be the entire point. Let me explain. Your human is creating an obstacle course, intentionally. They're constructing barriers that require them to move through their own home with heightened awareness. They're transforming a space they know intimately into an environment that demands active navigation. Walking from the bedroom to the kitchen becomes a puzzle. They have to duck, step carefully, be present, be conscious. Most of your human's day is automated. They walk to the bathroom the same way 700 times. They follow the same path to the kitchen. They sit on the couch in the identical spot. Their brain is essentially on pause through most of these movements. But when the laundry labyrinth is constructed, suddenly they're forced to recalibrate. They're forced to think, to move deliberately. Human brains crave complexity, even if that complexity is frustrating, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's dampening their furniture and filling their home with chemical odors. The wet clothes hanging everywhere create what I can only describe as a self-imposed puzzle. And solving that puzzle, navigating the textile maze, eventually removing the clothes, folding them, putting them away, triggers something in their brain that makes them feel productive, accomplished, like they've contributed something. Human productivity isn't logical, it's theatrical. Which brings me to something even more baffling than laundry itself, the timing of when humans choose to do laundry. My human does it on Sunday, every single Sunday. Not because the clothes are dirty, not because they need them urgently, but because it's Sunday. The day itself has declared that laundry must happen. Humans organize their lives around invisible boundaries. Monday is work day, Wednesday is something else, Sunday is laundry day. Friday is social. These arbitrary divisions don't exist for us. A cat doesn't wake up on Thursday and think, today is the day I knock things off counters. I do it because the impulse strikes, because a small object is sitting at a dangerous height, because the human is watching and I'm bored. The timing flows from logic, not from a fabricated schedule. But humans, they've built their entire existence on these invisible walls, and the laundry ritual reinforces them. It signals to themselves that they're following the rules, that they're in control, that they understand the system they've created. Here's where this becomes truly disturbing. The system doesn't actually control them, they control the system, and yet they treat it like an external force, like something inevitable, like laundry day will arrive whether they want it to or not. I've watched my human spend 4 hours on Sunday doing laundry, washing, drying, hanging, folding, putting away. 4 hours for something that took 30 minutes when they lived alone, according to their own admission. You know why? Because they now have double the clothes. They buy more because laundry day exists. More laundry day means more justification for laundry day. Humans build spirals that feed themselves. The wet clothes hanging throughout the house are also a message to anyone else living there. A signal, a statement. I am responsible. I am maintaining standards. I am not letting things slide into chaos. The damp labyrinth becomes proof of their competence, evidence that they deserve to live in this space, in this arrangement, with these people. That's the real utility of wet clothes hanging everywhere. Not cleanliness, not hygiene, not efficiency, none of those. It's about status. About demonstrating something to themselves and to others. Before we continue, I need you to understand something fundamental. This pattern, the invisible schedule, the self-imposed complexity, the performance of productivity, it's the skeleton key to understanding basically everything humans do wrong. And if you want to see the complete breakdown of how these behavioral loops actually work, how they reinforce each other, and how your human probably doesn't even realize they're trapped in them, I've put together a full guide that goes much deeper than what fits in a video like this. You'll find the ebook in the description and pinned at the top of the comments. It's where I explain the actual mechanisms behind human self-imposed chaos. But let's keep moving, because there's something even more irritating about the laundry situation that I haven't addressed yet: the smell. Humans wash their clothes in a chemical soup, detergent, fabric softener, scent boosters, things with names like mountain breeze and fresh rain that have never existed in nature. My human's laundry smells nothing like a mountain. I've never been to a mountain where the air smells like synthetic vanilla and industrial flowers, and yet they keep buying these products. They layer them on top of each other. One product isn't enough, multiple products for the same result. The irony is suffocating. They wash the clothes to remove smell, sweat, body odor, the normal smell of a living creature, and then they immediately replace that natural smell with an artificial one. It's not cleanliness they're achieving, it's erasure followed by replacement. They're telling themselves that their natural state is unacceptable, that even their clean body produces an odor that must be masked. Do you know what I do when I need to be clean? I lick myself. Takes 5 minutes. No products, no chemical intervention, no damp labyrinth. Just efficiency wrapped in self-care. Humans have convinced themselves that their way is superior, that their method is the only acceptable path, and anyone who questions it is either lazy or primitive. But they're not superior, they're just exhausting. Now, before we continue deeper into this, keep this in mind for a second. What we're really talking about here isn't just laundry or cleaning rituals. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of what care actually means. And if you want to understand the complete framework of how humans have built these self-defeating systems, how they rationalize them, and most importantly, why they refuse to abandon them even when they clearly don't work, that's exactly what our complete guide covers in depth. The ebook is in the description and pinned in the comments. It walks through every mechanism, every excuse, every rationalization they use. Go grab it if you want the full picture. But there's something else that really bothers me about all of this. The obsession doesn't stop at clothes. It extends into their own bodies with the same intensity. Showers, shampoos, conditioners, body washes, moisturizers, serums, toners, essences. I've counted. There are 17 different bottles in their bathroom. 17 for one body. One body that showers every single day, sometimes twice, and somehow still feels dirty. They'll stand under scalding water for 20 minutes, scrubbing their skin until it's red. Then they'll apply something cold and greasy to repair the damage they just did. It's circular. Damage and repair. Damage and repair. They've created a dependency on a system that wouldn't exist if they just left themselves alone. And here's where it gets truly peculiar. They believe that this endless cycle is proof of self-care. They call it a routine, a ritual. They talk about it like it's an achievement. I went to the gym, took a shower, did my skincare, they'll say proudly. As if they've accomplished something meaningful, as if maintaining a constantly fractured relationship with their own body is aspirational. Meanwhile, their anxiety levels are through the roof. They're exhausted. They sleep poorly because they're thinking about tomorrow's shower, tomorrow's laundry, tomorrow's damp labyrinth of obligations. They've built a system so intricate and so demanding that it's eating their life and they can't see it. We don't have this problem. A cat doesn't lie awake worrying about the strategic placement of clean versus dirty clothes. A cat doesn't feel guilty about not having showered today. A cat simply exists, and that existing is enough. That simple existence is respected. It's clean. It's honest. It requires no products, no machines, no anxiety. I've watched humans wake up already stressed about their laundry schedule. Before their feet touch the ground, they're mentally calculating whether they have clean underwear or whether they need to do a load. Their day begins with a deficit, with a problem that doesn't exist yet but will exist if they don't manage it correctly. The strangest part is that they could simply stop. They could wear the same shirt twice, they could shower less frequently, they could hang their clothes on the radiator and accept that drying takes time. But they won't. There's some invisible force that makes them feel like stopping is failure. I think it's because admitting that you don't need to do this would mean admitting that you've been wasting enormous amounts of time and energy on something pointless. And humans aren't good at that kind of honesty with themselves. They'd rather stay trapped in the system than face the truth that the system was optional all along. A cat understands efficiency because we understand survival. We waste nothing. Every action has a purpose, every moment counts. But humans have so much abundance, so much security, that they've created artificial scarcity and artificial urgency. They've invented problems just to solve them, just to feel productive, just to feel like their time matters. That's the real tragedy of their damp labyrinth. It's not the wet clothes or the spinning machines or the chemical smells, it's that they've accepted this as normal, as necessary, as the price of being civilized. When really, it's just the price of not being willing to question what they've been told is required. So here's what we've uncovered, watching you from our corners and our perches. The wet clothes labyrinth isn't really about cleanliness. It's not about hygiene or standards or social obligation. Those are just the stories you tell yourselves. The real mechanism, the thing driving this entire cycle, is that humans have confused activity with accomplishment, movement with progress, exhaustion with purpose. You wake up, you generate dirt, you clean the dirt. You generate more dirt, you repeat. And somewhere along the way, you convinced yourselves that this loop is life, that the busier you are, the more valuable you become, that a full laundry schedule means a full life. We see it everywhere. the endless rotation of clothes in machines, the perpetual reorganization of spaces that will be messy again tomorrow, the duplication of effort for the sake of routine. You could wear your jeans 3 times before washing. You could air dry your clothes instead of tumbling them in heat that damages the fibers and wastes energy. You could question whether you actually need 14 different outfits when most of you wear the same 5 items on repeat anyway. But that would require stopping, pausing, admitting that the system doesn't need you as much as you need the system. And this is the secret I promised you at the beginning, the one thing that ties the entire labyrinth together. Humans have built a world where being trapped feels like freedom, where mandatory routines feel like normal life, where questioning the system gets you labeled as lazy or irresponsible instead of logical. You've created a prison of your own preferences, and then you've convinced everyone inside that this is what civilization looks like. A cat would never do this. We would recognize it instantly as dysfunction dressed up as duty. The damp labyrinths you construct aren't accidental. They're not inevitable. They're chosen. Every single day you choose them. You choose the washing machine over the clothesline. You choose the processed meal over the simple bowl. You choose the scheduled life over the instinctive one. And that's fine. That's your right. But stop pretending it's the only way. Stop acting like questioning it makes you irresponsible. We're not telling you to stop washing your clothes or abandon all routines. We're asking you to look at your wet labyrinth and ask yourself one honest question. Is this serving me, or am I serving this? Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you understand that you're the one keeping the machine running, you start having choices again. Real choices. Not the illusion of choice between different brands of the same trap, but actual freedom to step outside the cycle whenever you want. That's what a cat knows that humans forget. You built this world. You can change it. So the next time you're standing in front of your dryer, or your washing machine, or your pile of clean clothes that need to be organized and folded and hung and arranged, stop for a moment. Ask yourself if this is something you're doing because you genuinely need to, or because you've never considered the alternative. Because we promise you, there's always an alternative. There's always a simpler way. You just have to be willing to stop long enough to find it. That's what separates the cats from the humans. We stop. We think. We choose what actually matters, and we skip everything else. Thank you for letting us share this with you today. If this perspective resonated with you, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss when we expose more of the habits you didn't know were holding you back. And I'd genuinely love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell us, what's one routine in your life that you've never actually questioned? We read every comment, and honestly, your answers are half the reason we keep making these.